Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ubaidillah Kamal Faseh. I'm from English Teaching Department, class 5C. Here I'm going to present about the journal investigation that entitled A Content Analysis of Bright 1, a 2013 curriculum-based textbook for 7th grade students by Ari Purwani, Dewi Rosa Tiningsih, and Dia Christina. Alright, in the research problem, this research of the journal investigates or reports on a content analysis investigating whether Bright 1 for Year 7 students meets the characteristics of a good English textbook and reflect the 2013 curriculum. And the data on content analysis were gathered from an English textbook entitled Bright 1. And here, 4 evaluators and 3 classes of students were given questionnaires. They also were interviewed for verifying the data. Alright, the researcher of this research of the journal used Ur theory 2009. According to Ur, there are several procedures to analyze the content of the textbook. Here are the procedures by Ur. The first is deciding on criteria. In this step, the criteria of a good English textbook were determined by taking into account English Curriculum 2013. The criteria of good textbook and the checklist proposed by experts who discussed in the theoretical review. 19 advances in social science, education, and humanities researcher in volume 158. And the second is applying criteria. In this step, the criteria which had been determined were applied. The textbook was rated based on the criteria. After that, a description of Bright 1 for Year 7 student was made based on the criteria. And the third is summary. In this step, conclusions were drawn based on the rating and descriptions. Then, an overall evaluation of Bright 1 for Year 7 was made. The summary about the general statement of the quality of Bright 1 year for Year 7 was produced. The data collecting techniques that are used in this research are the checklist of the criteria of good English textbooks based on Curriculum 2013 and the interview. The data collecting instruments are a set of checklists for textbook evaluation, which is in the form of questionnaire. And this research uses two kinds of data collecting that are quantitative and qualitative checklists. And the result and discussion. This study aims to discover whether Bright 1 meets the characteristic of a good English textbook and to discover whether the Bright 1 meets the characteristic of 2013 curriculum based on English textbook for 7-year student. For the appropriateness to the characteristic of a good English textbook, the analyses are based on the book structure aspect and content coverage aspect. These aspects are analyzed by the researcher. From here, we can know that the results show that both of the two aspects contain strengths and weaknesses. The strengths are found on the following aspect. The first is the front pages that are cover page, copyright, copyright page, preface, and the table of content. And the second is the font is clear, not too small or too big. And the third is the top the chapter components that are objective, explanation, activities, and evaluations. And the fourth is the grading tasks. And the fifth is the vocabulary explanation and tasks. And the sixth is the grammar explanation and the task. And the seventh is the listening skill. In the other hand, the weaknesses are found on the following aspects. The first is the back pages that are only the bibliography and the back cover. And the second is the picture. And the third is the balance of the chapter. And fourth is the authentically. And the fifth is the topic. And the sixth is the speaking skill. And the seventh is the writing skill. And the eighth is the reading skill. And the last or the ninth is the pronunciation skills. And also the results show that are the most prominent aspect that fulfills the appropriateness to the 2013 curriculum is the scientific approach aspect. The other three aspects that are the core and basic competence, the material appropriateness, and the assessment standards are good. However, they are required to improve in some aspect, like the first 8 pairs of knowledge and skill basic competence that are not presented in this textbook. And the second is all the basic competence are not written in explicit and in detail in this textbook. And the third is the writing skill and group work are required to enrich. And the fourth is the attitude assessment standard is not presented in it. Well, I think that's enough from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.